Whenever you find yourself on the side of the majority, it is time to pause and reflect. Robert Greene, the master of mastery itself, with the entry from January 6th, with the title being Change is the Law, tells us the following. In dealing with your career and its inevitable changes, you must think in the following way. You are not tied to a particular position. Your loyalty is not to a career or a company. You are committed to your life's task, to giving it full expression. It is up to you to find it and guide it correctly. It is not up to others to help protect it or help you. You are on your own. Change is inevitable, particularly in such a revolutionary moment as ours. Since you are on your own, it is up to you to foresee the changes going on right now in your profession. You must adapt your life's task to these circumstances. You do not hold on to the past ways of doing things, because that will ensure you will fall behind and suffer for it. You are flexible and always looking to adapt. If changes are forced upon you, you must resist the temptation to overreact or feel sorry for yourself. Before he became the great boxing trainer, Freddie Roach was forced to retire from boxing. He instinctively found his way back to the ring because he understood that what he loved was not boxing per se, but competitive sports and strategizing. Thinking in this way, he could adapt his inclinations to a new direction within boxing. Like Roach, you don't want to abandon the skills and experience you have gained, but you find a new way to apply them. Your eye is on the future, not the past. Often, such creative readjustments lead to a superior path for us. We are shaken out of our complacency and forced to reassess where we are headed. Daily Law, adapt your inclinations. Avoid having rigid goals and dreams. Change is the law. Mastery 1. Discover your calling, the life's task. Application. I think this gives us a good opportunity to go back over the difference between one's job and their work. I have a job. I work overnights at a retail establishment. That is my job. That's where I get paid. That's from whence my paycheck springs. It is not, however, my work. I work there. That's not my work. My work is the writing that I do. My work is this channel. My work is Stripped Cover Lit. My work is all over the internet, where I believe that I am contributing to American letters, letters in general, where I think I am furthering the argument. I think someone's work does not even necessarily have to be labor as it is classically defined. For example, there are plenty of people whose work is their children. They have dedicated their lives towards rearing children that will be useful in the next generation. That is a useful and admirable task in and of itself. I think that it is easy to lose one's dignity by associating work with job. Your job can always fire you. There's the great story from Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey's father was, now that I say that it's a great story, I'm going to forget it. An accountant, I think. I think he was an accountant. and they were doing okay. Family was going along fine, and everybody told his dad, "Man, you could be a stand-up comedian. You're such a funny guy. You could do that. You could go out there and tell jokes for a living." And his dad had a family to provide for, so he never really listened to it. He just went on being as funny as he could be while having his job. Well, one day, his father got fired, and it was not good for their family. And his father took up the job that he could get at the time, which was, I believe, being a janitor at a high school. Nothing wrong with that. Dignified work, fine, whatever. But the thing that Jim Carrey took from it was that you can lose everything. It was not as good a job, good paying job, as his previous job, right? And Jim Carrey took from that, you can lose everything doing the job you don't want. You might as well try for the job you do want. Well, I think that we are in the type of atmosphere where job is very loosely correlated with paycheck. There are all sorts of gigs in the gig economy. I think that everyone has a side hustle these days, at least everyone that has some type of dream, because today's economy, the architecture of today's civilization allows many things to be profitable in some way, whether that's just by attention, whether that is monetary, etc. I think that the idea of keeping your job and your work separate is maybe important. People, I think, lose their dignity associating their job with their work. You lose your job, your work is all gone. You lose your job, your work is all gone. That has to be a very, very rough place to find yourself. There's a quote from Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel, a wellspring of great quotes, just like Mark Twain. Peter Thiel said, "The most contrarian thing of all is not to oppose the crowd, but to think for yourself." Now, hidden in this quote is basically the idea that your opinions should be a potpourri of popular and unpopular opinions. Sometimes the crowd gets it right. Is it by definition contrarian to go with the crowd in those situations? No. By definition, it is non-contrarian to conform in those moments. However, the very next moment, the crowd will not understand you when you take your stance on your own 2 feet about something else. We are in those times right now. Robert Greene says in the excerpt from this day in the Daily Laws that in these times you have to be ready to change. Yeah, right now, especially in the labor force, with the advent of AI, with the emergence of AI, we have to be able, willing, and ready to change. But I think that part of that is in the world we live in today, everything is hyper partisan. And we have to be able to think for ourselves. We have to be able to look at any groupthink and say that's BS, or think they've got it right this time. So this quote from Peter Thiel is a little bit of a backhanded attempt at arguing with the quote with which we opened this video. But I think that both are true simultaneously. There's also, from this chapter, from this day, from this entry, something worth thinking about, which is we don't always get to say how our dreams will work out. That does not mean we get to give them up. Sometimes we just have to change them. Sometimes there is some element within that dream that we did not realize was our true passion. You've heard of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Of course you have. Everyone has. Everyone knows of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. A lot of people don't know Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson started playing football. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson thought he was going to be an NFL player. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson did not get drafted into the NFL, went to the Canadian Football League, the CFL. Very different game. Players are very expendable in Canada. That league burns through talent. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, before he was The Rock, when he was still just Dwayne Johnson, went up to Canada and became a player. I don't remember if he was injured or if he quit. I believe he got a knee injury, but I'm not 1,000% positive on that. But the story is he was done with football. I think he quit, actually. I think he quit. He decided it wasn't for him anymore. And he called his father and said, I need you to pick me up from the airport. And on the ride home, his father was a famous wrestler. He said to his father, I want to get in the business. His father said, what business? He said, wrestling. His father said, okay. The next thing happens. All of a sudden, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is a very unpopular wrestler. Very unpopular. Did not get over at all in his debut match, etc. Takes a heel turn and gets over incredibly. Then, possibly at the height of his popularity in wrestling, jumps ship to become an actor, doing terrible movie after terrible movie after terrible movie, until he starts to get things right. The element about this, the reason I'm talking about this, is that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson thought he was a football player, thought that was what he loved. Probably he loved the game a little bit, but it turned out that what he really liked was entertaining people. Making the move from football player to professional wrestler meant that he got to keep the physicality that he had trained for his entire life, and he got to be an entertainer. Moving into the world of movies, he maintained his level of fitness. He was the big guy on screen and was still an entertainer. If you find yourselves at crossroads with your dream, with what it is you want to do, who it is you want to be, maybe on some level there is a fundamental misunderstanding of exactly what that is. Maybe there is some core element in that thing. Maybe there is some core element in that thing that you do not recognize as the thing, but that's really what it's all about. That is what I have for this video. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out. And if you find yourself here by chance but not design, this is going to be the second video in a multi-part series here, so consider hitting the subscribe button to stick around for more. And as always, I hope to have you back for the next one.